day one of fall camp. How did things go out there?
Yeah, it was awesome. Obviously I had a little week off between summer ball OTAs and obviously fall camp, so it was great to be back out there. Yeah.
What does it mean to you when Coach said yesterday, last year you were in control of that offensive unit. This year, this is your team.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, special teams. What does that mean to you, and how have you stepped up from that leadership role that you basically are the leader out there now?
Yeah, I think, last year I was kind of getting the feel of the water. We had a lot of veteran guys, so I was kind of let them, take the reins a little bit. But I think, having a year under my belt has definitely, helped me in the leadership role. It's something that I definitely focused on this offseason. Like Coach said, it's a full team sport, so it takes all 22 to be good. But obviously, for a leadership standpoint, I definitely feel like I can step up.
How does a quarterback kind of, for lack of a better term, I know you let the defense take care of the defense, especially their leaders on their side, but every once in a while you do see the really elite quarterbacks have to go over there and talk, get into, do what they have to do. How have you transitioned that point to where now you're going to have to be the spokesperson for this entire team?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, it starts with, out there competing is the easiest way. And I think, those guys, multiple guys, so the DBs, safeties, whoever it might be, linebackers, will ask me questions and I'll be more than welcome to help. We're competing against each other, but at the end of the day, it's all with each other. So just kind of bouncing ideas back and forth. And once again, it's all family. So it's two sides of the ball, but it's really all one. So that's kind of our mindset.
Have you become more vocal now, or are you still kind of just letting my action show?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Like I said, I was trying to be more vocal. Definitely, calling out, what needs to be called out. There's something that, I feel like, needs to be called out.
Do you feel like a different level of respect and attention from your teammates just kind of going about the building day to day?
Yeah, I think, it's like that throughout the whole building, no matter who you are. From top down, whoever it might be, the respect is there for everybody. So, yeah.
Do you do anything different compared to last year just because you're in that position now?
Well, I think, like I said, it was just working on throughout the offseason and starting camp to just be a little more vocal, calling out guys if it has to be called out, encouraging guys if they need to be encouraged. So whatever that might be, just trying to be a little more vocal.
You are viewed as maybe the top returning quarterback in this conference. Does that mean anything to you to have some accolades behind yourself? Yeah,
well, it's an accolade to this team, I think, and it has to do, with all the guys that stayed, could have left on offense, and all returned the offense. So we're returning almost every starter on the offensive unit. So I think it says a lot to our group. And defense is brand new, but they compete their butts off. So we'll have a really good group for sure.
How much did this day one slow down for you as compared to day one last year? Yeah,
it's a great question. I think there's a level of execution, and the standard has risen now that this group is all back and returning. So it's just every little small detail might be super small, but it's a big thing to our group because we returned, because we played so much. So it's definitely just held us to a higher standard.
We talked about the leadership part, but between the lines, how are you improved as a player from a year ago? What do you see as the biggest differences?
Yeah, I just think comfortability. Like I said, getting that year under my belt, having another year in the system, kind of getting on the same page with Coach Burke, even more reps with the wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, you name it. So just comfortability.
It looked like all your wide receivers were out there today.
Yeah.
How did it feel to have a full group available?
Man, it's awesome. Obviously, last year we had a little banged up injuries, but when we're all healthy, we got one of the best groups in the country, from up front to the O-line to the receivers, tight ends, running backs, you name it.
I wanted to ask you about your O-line. They seem like they're a little deeper than from a year ago. Can you talk about that group?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, they're all healthy. Like you're saying, health is a big thing right now with us, and we're all healthy, so it's been great. But like you said, we're as deep as ever on the O-line unit, and that's what anybody can ask for. It's all good things.
Are you any different physically compared to the spring? I know you said you were going to try to put on some weight.
Yeah, I'm around 190 right now, so that was kind of my goal area, and obviously keep getting closer to 200 as possible. But physically, it was just getting stronger faster.
Do you feel any difference?
Yeah, a little bit. And coaches say throwing it a little easier, so I feel the same. But I'll trust their word.
How's the quarterback room looking? What's it like behind you?
Yeah. You got Brandon Tennyson, a guy who's had a couple years under his belt now in the system. He's like super sharp. He's a silent killer. Brandon is, and then you got the new guys, Max and Noah, who are just competing their butts off. Hungry to learn, open-minded. So we're just a bunch of competitors. Yeah.
Coach has talked about the players taking ownership of the team this year. And what does that concept mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's I keep using the term calling out, but it's just, if somebody messes up, it's calling them out and having that guy own up to the team that he messed up, and it's, all about the response to the next play. What are you going to do after that? So I just think it's a standard that's risen, and it comes, from the players, and it has to be from the players. So I just think, like I said, it has to be that self-leadership.
Was there any difference in the summer workouts this year? It sounded like the group was pushed a little bit harder.
Oh yeah, it was obviously we got the new strength staff was fully in, so the way they pushed us and conditioned us was all smart and surrounded by football, so it's making us communicate when we're tired and doing just a bunch of football related activities while still getting the most out of us conditioning wise. So it was awesome. Yeah.
It looks like Coach Traylor pushed practice back an hour. He said he's trying to get you guys extra sleep. Did you sleep in today?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, as a quarterback, you still have to do your due diligence to get up early. So that's, a little bit obviously grateful to have another hour of sleep. But, that helps obviously with injuries and whatnot. But, yeah.
Coaches talked about being locked in on every detail with the guys and more strict with certain things. How has that changed the atmosphere around here, if at all?
Yeah, I don't think it changes a little bit within the players. Just it's the players' team, so it's just a lot of guys like myself trying to be more vocal and be more leadership. But I think it's two sides of the ball. Like I said, on offense, we're a bunch of returners, so the standards are going to be way high, and obviously on defense, no matter who's out there, the standards are still the same. But there's going to be some small learning curves, no matter who it is. But like I said, we're a bunch of competitors ready to learn.
Do you like the guys kind of taking control like that? Is that comfortable for you?
Oh, for sure. And I think every guy in this room will tell you that. Like they're ready to be coached. Coach, but if it's a coach or player, so just open to leadership, open to whatever advice. And like I said, we're in practice we compete against each other, but it's all one at the end of the day.
What's your view of the defense and how they look right now? I know to us there's a lot of new players, but I guess some of them have been contributing.
Yeah, I think first and foremost they compete their butts off, and I think that was pretty apparent day one and really throughout the summer and off season that no matter who is out there, Coach Leb is going to have them playing their butts off, and I think obviously there's going to be a learning curve for those new guys like anybody that first gets here, but like I said, they're open-minded and willing to learn.
There was another major focus on trying to be sharp as possible the first month of the season.
Yeah.
What has to happen to be able to be ready to go when the first game hits?
Yeah, I think like I said, the standard at least from the offense has risen. So I think small details. I think instantly when you asked me that, my first thing I think of is back in Tulsa game, and I said this earlier, but we were up big in the first half and had a couple short yardage situations. It was like 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and we didn't convert any of those, didn't get a yard. And at the end of the day, obviously we lost the game. It came back to bite us. So it's just eliminating that and knowing that every small detail matters, from practice to film, you name it.
Right on. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.